Welcome to Girl Talk. I'm Nicole D. Miller, author, blogger, speaker, hybrid book publisher, and your host. At Girl Talk, we are a safe space for female leaders to engage in healing and edifying conversation. This is your Me Too, empathetic corner, where we have authentic and transformative dialogue designed to uplift and connect high-achieving women like you. Are you looking for a safe space to cultivate sisterhood with other like-minded female bosses? Leave your cape at the door and join the conversation. Hi guys, and welcome to Girl Talk One-on-One. I'm your host, Nicole D. Miller. This episode was a special one, as it took place at the GLAAWC African American Writers Conference Mixer, which your girl was able to host. I had the opportunity to sit down with executive producer and founder, Dr. Leah Lewis, of the GLAAWC African American Writers Conference, fondly known as GLAAWC, and dive into her journey in becoming an entrepreneur and female leader. I don't know about you guys, but I highly value those who have gone before and paved the way for this path I'm on in female leadership, particularly Black female leadership in the literary space. It wasn't that long ago that laws prohibited us from reading and writing, and now I'm called to be a vessel to release our stories into the world. That being said, Dr. Leah is one of those who I believe has assisted in paving the way for this generation's opportunities. Tune in to be inspired in scaling in your endeavors and opening doors of opportunity for others in this one-on-one conversation. Learn how Dr. Leah's upbringing assisted her in becoming the heavy-hitting guru she is today. What motivated and inspired her on her journey of purpose? What are some key words of wisdom she leaves to current leaders today? We discuss all this and more on the next Girl Talk One-on-One. So sit back, relax, grab your favorite beverage, and join the conversation. So I want to introduce you guys to myself. My name is Nicole D. Miller, and you guys know me as the producer, the new producer for GLAAWC, but I'm also the host of a podcast called Girl Talk. So Girl Talk features female leaders impacting their community, high-achieving women, trendsetters. Dr. Leah is so gracious to do this interview with me, so I'm super excited to have her. There is a saying that we do say at Girl Talk. I say, who's ready for some? And you guys say, Girl Talk. So we're going to do that, we're going to give that Girl Talk vibe, bring that Girl Talk swag. So who's ready for some
Girl Talk?
Perfect. You guys are quick learners. I love it. So I'm going to introduce Dr. Leah and read her bio. Dr. Leah C. Lewis, JD, is a serial entrepreneur and nonprofit executive. Leah is the founder and executive director of Little Lumpy Center for Educational Initiatives, whose signature event is the GLAAWC African American Writers Conference, GLAAWC, pronounced GLAAWC, of which Leah is the executive producer. In 2020, GLAAWC's virtual conference reached over 5,600 people in 20 states and 4 international countries. Her articles and commentary have appeared in the Christian Century, Cleveland Scene, Blavity.com, ForHarriet.com, and a host of other outlets. She is the founder of 3 Butterflies Entertainment and Press, LLC. Leah is a writer, documentary filmmaker, social entrepreneur, and event producer. She is the author of Little Lumpy's Book of Blessings, which is the subject of a proposed animated children's TV show, Little Lumpy's Travelogue. In cooperation with Damascus Theater Collective, the August Wilson Center, and Alumni Theater Company, and a host of actors and crew, a dramatic reading of the pilot script, Penguin Problems, in the Galapagos, Islands, for Little Lumpy's Travelogue took place during the Well Reading series. Leah aims to complete Black Buckeyes, A Tale of Two Cities, a documentary and independent production examining African Americans' lived and historical realities in Cleveland and Cincinnati. She has completed Leo's Legacy for Midtown Cleveland, Inc., which highlights Cleveland's famed Leo's Casino nightclub of the late 1960s and early 1970s. She also serves as co-producer of Black Mary, a co-production of Post, Theatrical, and Damascus Theater Collective, highlighting the life of Mary Fields, the first African-American star route mail carrier in the United States, which was streamed during Juneteenth 2021. Reverend Dr. Lewis serves as the spiritual consultant on the project and the forthcoming project, tentatively titled Chains to Gains. Dr. Lewis is a graduate of Ashland Theological Seminary, Yale Divinity School, Howard University School of Law, and Bowling Green State University. She is also a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority, Incorporated, and the Order of the Eastern Star. Please give a round of applause for Dr. Leah Lewis. So, Dr. Leah, thank you so much for saying yes to this interview. As you know, I highly honor and esteem you, and it has been such an honor being in this space with you. I wanted to dig a little deep into how you got to where you are today, as you are such an inspiration in our community. My first question is, how did literature play into your childhood and upbringing? How did pursuing education and being ambitious play into your childhood and upbringing?
Well, I'll start with saying that when I was little, I had difficulty reading. This is because I would reverse letters. I was not dyslexic, but I was told people cannot hear in the back, so let me project. So I had difficulty reading because my eyes were weak. And I started school early. I started at 4. And so there was a challenge, but my parents got me a reading specialist. Now, there was nothing wrong with my mind, and I'm going to tell you why. I had an elder named Mrs. Todd, who was my surrogate grandmother. And Mrs. Todd would have me doing 200 and 300 piece puzzles when I was 4. Wow. We played cards. So I had to learn my numbers, my letters, my shapes, and I hated to lose, so I needed to develop strategy, okay? Hated to lose. And we would make cookies, so I had to learn how to, measure ingredients and understand all of that. And so intellect was something I always had. And I attribute the organic matter that my parents gave me, but it was Mrs. Todd that cultivated that. And so she was very influential in my life. My mother was a graduate of North Carolina A&T, so I came from a family where going to college was expected. I will tell you that when I was young, I had no idea I would earn 4 degrees. I thought people like me were ridiculous. But I'm intellectually curious. And I also follow the leading of the Lord. So when given a task or a challenge, I get on it. Did that answer your question?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. And what were some community organizations that inspired you in becoming a trailblazer?
So I was an athlete when I was younger. I played softball at St. Henry's and at Beaumont. I played basketball at Beaumont. And there was a family in Cleveland called the Gants, G-A-N-T, and they were my softball coaches. And again, I told you all I hate to lose. So I was on a winning team always with the Gants, and they were very influential in my life in getting me to understand the value of hard work, teamwork, and achievement.
Love it. Are there any pivotal moments in your life journey that you can say pointed to your career aspirations, or any childhood memories of writing?
So I'm going to date myself here. How many of you remember the Perry Mason show? Okay. So when I was 5, people would say, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And I'd say a lawyer. And I only knew that because of Perry Mason. So I did go forward and go to Howard Law School, so I achieved that goal. And what law school taught me was how to think. What do I mean by that? When you go to law school, they ask you, what is the issue? So you have to process data and get to the root cause. And this is why a lot of people think lawyers are assholes, because we get to the issue when other people are still processing it. So it has helped me really achieve all of my goals and really work in myriad spaces, because I can always get to the issue rather quickly.
And I do remember Perry Mason, too. I just want to put that out there.
The reruns.
That is true, yes. I'm intrigued because it's rare for someone to have like multiple gifts in all of these different industries, right? You definitely seemed very confident, self-assured. You were curious. You had this inner drive. Was there any like mindsets that kind of hindered you to say, well, I need to stay in this sector, in this industry?
So I have to invoke this too. I also have a black belt in Ishinru and 3 national championships in the sport of karate. My brother-in-law, Ken Ferguson, was my coach, my instructor for many years. And so confidence is something I've had since I was a little girl. I think I won my first national championship at the age of 12. So, yeah, confidence is just a part of who and what I am. And those experiences shaped me greatly as I was moving. But the only hindrance, I'll cite 2. I have dealt with a lot of envy and jealousy throughout my life. And there have been a lot of people who have, in fact, hindered me in some of my goals, and others who have attempted to, but I have overcome those challenges. So that is something that has hindered me. The other thing is often people want you in one lane. You can only do one thing.
Yeah.
And there are some of us who are multi-talented. And we would be leaving stones unturned if we did not pursue all of the gifts and graces that our creators gave us. So our creator, excuse me. So, you know, we have to, this is one of the reasons why I work for myself. I'm my own boss. I do what I want to do. And that is how I have to cultivate a life that is fulfilling. I have nothing but peace and joy in my life. And my standard for myself and for the relationships I have is that we must be happy, healthy, whole, and high functioning. If you're not that, I'm going to have to love you from afar, as Susan Taylor said many, many years ago, in essence.
Well, thank you for that. I do think it's encouraging because when I was coming up, you were told you get a 401k, you get one job, that's the only thing that you do. And it took me a minute to break out of that mindset, but you're a trailblazer for doing that, you know, before that time.
Well, let me invoke this too.
Yeah.
My grandfather, my paternal grandfather, who I never met, owned Lewis Ice Cream in Cleveland, which was very popular in the 50s. So I came from an entrepreneurial family.
Gotcha. Yeah.
That led the family to owning buildings and doing various things. And so the idea of working for self was not foreign to me.
Yeah. Thank you for adding that. Here's a good question. What is purpose to you? What is your definition of success?
So purpose, you know, people ask me, do I make lists? Because I do a lot of stuff, and I do not. When I wake up every morning, I know exactly what I'm supposed to do. And I think that is a result of prayer and meditation and just organically being in flow and being at one with the divine. So purpose for me is fulfilling God's call on my life. That's purpose for me. What does success look like? This might sound strange. I don't really worry about that. Have I fulfilled the goal? That's success.
I love it. Who are those who inspired you? Now, you did kind of touch on this a little bit, but if there's anyone else you want to add, who inspired you on your journey, beginning with childhood or key mentors along the way, college professors, other lawyers in practice?
Okay, so again, this is going to sound strange. I'm inspired by myself. I just am. Again, I wake up every day. I know what I'm supposed to do, and I do it. I am impressed by others. I love what other people are doing, but there's no one in the center of my universe but me and my maker. And so I can applaud other people's success. I'm happy for other people's success, but I don't need to look at another person to be motivated. And I know a lot of people say, oh, I need representation. I don't. If I can envision it or imagine it, that's all I need, and I'm good to go.
I do want to touch base on GLAAWC, right? Because this is an amazing legacy that you've created. What were the beginnings of GLAAWC for you? The idea to the vision to the experience of executing. What was that like?
So I was actually asked to join someone in the production of a writers' conference. And I said yes for two reasons. I heard two stories that really, frankly, upset me. Because at my heart, I'm a problem solver. I heard a story about a woman who wanted to write a book but didn't know how. So she encountered somebody who said, oh, girl, I can help you. This is what I need you to do. I need you to record it, put it in a microphone, and send me the recording. So the woman did that, presuming that the woman was going to take the transcript and edit it. Because we all know we speak in one way and we really should write in another. So the woman took the transcript, printed it out, slapped a cover on it, sent the lady boxes of books after charging her $5,000. The woman got the boxes. She was excited. She opened them up. She began to read. She was petrified, heartbroken. The other story was I have a Facebook friend who was promoting herself as a best-selling author. So I was excited for her. Oh, my God, is she in the Essence magazine? She New York Times, London Times? What's going on? Well, come to find out, she had met someone who said to her, girl, this is what we're going to do. You're going to write this book, and we're going to create a genre around your book. And because you're the only one in that genre, you're going to be the best-selling author.
So sad.
So these stories upset me because before I published Little Lumpy's Book of Blessings, I spent 3 years researching children's entertainment and children's literature. I wrote the story in 1996 after losing my mother, 2 aunts, and Mrs. Todd in a 13-week span while a second-year law student at Howard. So my mother said to me, she said, Leah, no matter what happens, get that degree. You know how we good daughters do. We do what our mothers tell us. But I didn't grieve properly. So after I graduated, moved to New York, I was sitting at my computer one day reminiscing about them, and I wrote the story. And I couldn't put it down. I kept reading it. I kept editing it. I was like, I'm going to do something with this. So I started researching those two fields, and it was 3 years before I felt I could publish the book because I couldn't find an agent. At that time, it was hard for us to find agents. It still is. So I had to accept that people aren't going to do the type of research that I am. That's why we started GLAAWC.
Love it. And now you've touched on the creative space as a part of your grieving and healing. Would you say that your work helps you manifest your grief and healing, the creative part?
I'm going to say no.
Okay.
I will say that it was a wonderful ode to my beloveds who I lost, but I had to get therapy. I went into counseling. When I moved to New York, one of the first calls I made was to a therapist. And had to spend time with her because, you know, we can work certain things out, right? It's a process. We know this. But many times we need help. Mm-hmm. And if we don't get help, we fail or we fall. And so Creativity, I think, is something I've always engaged in, but sometimes we need to be more intentional about our healing.
Agreed. We definitely are advocates for that at Girl Talk. My last question, what words of wisdom would you leave to this generation of leaders?
I would say be intellectually curious, always. Always ask more questions than make statements. Work with the generation before you and the generation behind you, because we need each other. There are things about technology that I need the young folks to help me with, okay? Get me up to speed. And there are things about business and organization that the young folks need to hear from me, just like I need to hear from elders who come before me. So this is about intergenerational exchange. I also would say follow the leading of the Holy Spirit in your life, or whatever that spirit is that speaks to you. Do not deny the greater voice, particularly when you are given an instruction that will have a positive impact on humanity.
Well, drop the mic. Okay, we want to open up the floor for questions from our audience. So, does anybody have any questions? Vince?
Oh, here we go.
I'm just asking a question on behalf of someone who is planning to come to Cleveland from Columbus for the Great Lakes African American Writers Conference.
Okay.
And he wants to know, what are we going to cover in the conference?
Yeah, so this year our keynote is a woman named Diane McKinney Whetstone. Her current book is called Family Spirit, so she'll be there. She's our Langston Hughes literary keynote. Our Alice Dunbar Nelson professional keynote is a woman named Kim Martin Sadler. Some of you may know Kim. She's here in Cleveland. And she was an editor for Pilgrim Press for many years. Pilgrim Press is here in Cleveland. It is the oldest press in the world. It was started by people who came over on the Mayflower. Okay? And so we're going to be talking about that, and then I'm going to let Nicole talk about some of the panels and workshops that are taking place.
Yeah, I'm so excited. We have a panel called Black Resilience, Overcomers, Thrivers, and Survivors, featuring some amazing female leaders that we're pretty familiar with. Can I share the leaders? We have Yvonne Pointer, which a lot of you know. We have Jasmine Bailey, Fox 8, Emmy Award-winning news anchor. We have Stacey Kirk, who's an author. She does a lot of community work in the city. And Laura C. Cohen is actually our moderator. So all of these women have walked through a lot, and we're definitely going to get some good gems from them. We have a special feature from Lit Cleveland's own Silk Allen, who is in the building. She's going to be teaching a workshop on street lit, which I love because I feel like that's a genre we don't give a lot of attention to. So we're going to have a lot of fireside chats. We have Regina Jones, who is a first female publisher of Soul magazine. Some of you may remember out in the 70s. She actually has a film called Who in the Hell is Regina Jones, which is being filmed for G-Cup. And so, yeah, we have a lot. We have a lot in store. We have book vendors. It's a good time. You guys definitely want to come through. Tell your friends to tell your friends. It's all free. So we do have bundled tickets for the author, Diane McKinney Whetstone's book, if you're interested in that. And the RSVP is available on Eventbrite.
Yeah, and I would just add that GLAAWC's whole purpose is to eliminate knowledge deficits for writers. Whether you're an author, whether you're a journalist, whether you're a playwright, if you engage in writing at all, we want to make sure you are fully equipped to profit from your gift.
Are there any other questions?
I have a question. I admire your confidence and being inspired from yourself and the Holy Spirit. Just coming up here, I spoke with an individual who's in her 40s, and she's totally opposite. She lacks confidence, and even when she asserts herself, there's another voice, a negative voice, where then she begins to shrink and become small. So an individual like that, who's halfway almost midlife. How would you encourage her and build up her esteem and confidence?
Yeah, so the reality is we are all whole, whether we acknowledge it or not. But as we go through life, we're in the process of coming to our wholeness. And so I would just let her know she's in process. She's in process. She needs to be gentle with herself. She needs to affirm herself. And she needs to create standards for herself so other people in her space will know how to treat her and how not to treat her. Now, I'm a Libra Scorpio, so my stinger will come out, okay? I don't like that about myself. That's why my standard is people who are happy, healthy, whole, and high functioning, so I don't have to cut up and act a fool.
Who's your favorite author besides yourself?
Ooh. So I love poetry.
Okay.
Gwendolyn Brooks,
Yeah.
Maya Angelou.
Yeah.
People like that. Paul Laurence Dunbar, even though he was a domestic abuser. I don't know if you all know that. Yes, he abused Alice Dunbar Nelson, who we name our keynotes after. But I do love his work. Langston Hughes. Poetry is just my jam. Yeah, I mean, there's some great authors out there. We've hosted some. Walter Mosley, Tayari Jones, Deisha Philyaw, Pearl Clegg, poet, playwright, But poetry is my thing. Thank you for the question.
No, I was asking because you got like a subtle Toni Morrison vibe.
Toni was no joke. Ancestor Toni, we know this, our sister from Lorraine. But when you talk about people like Toni Morrison, I think about her and James Baldwin.
Yeah.
For me, they are our standard bearers.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yes.
Any other questions? In the back?
Don't be shy.
Right here, go ahead. Me? Oh, all right. I have a question.
Oh, that's Cheryl.
Where do you see, how do you see the future of authors, authentic authors with AI?
That's good.
So I also work in the tech space. And, AI is posing challenges for creatives, particularly those in entertainment. I'm going to tell you one of the first stories I heard about AI. It was two attorneys who decided to write a brief using AI. They generated this brief. You know this case? They generated a brief that cited cases that were non-existent. So they submitted it to the court. The court was like, what is this? And those two individuals were disbarred. Okay? It was wild. It was a wild situation. They were disbarred. You can't make up cases in the law.
But I can't believe somebody would try to do that.
But they did it. And this was in the early days of AI. So I think there are going to be challenges because when you talk about capitalism, the capitalists want to make as much money as they possibly can. And if they don't have to hire people and they will own the content, they will prosper, provided the audience likes it. So this is where the audience is going to have to come in and say, wait a minute, this wasn't human generated. I'm going to bypass that. What also concerns me is the fact that people are using AI to generate material to spread misinformation. That is a problem. I can't tell you how many YouTube videos I have seen of an AI-generated Oprah. And people and they believe it. I'm like, can't you tell that's not her? I was enjoying it when the AI was coming out and people would have 8 toes on each foot. That was funny to me. Because it was obvious, right? You could tell it wasn't. But, Cheryl, I think we have to be very careful, and we need to reject that which is AI generated when it comes to art. Okay?
Amen.
Okay?
Yes.
So actually, to piggyback on that, like,
don't think there's any room for it? Because as I'm a new writer, I've never written anything besides this first thing I worked on, and the idea was mine. I needed to polish it up a little bit. So I put the idea into the AI and it polished it up. It wasn't all mine, so I had to go back and tweak it.
Mm-hmm.
But I do believe that there is a way to use it and have it be beneficial. Do you believe that's not the case? Should it just all be disregarded, or can it, if it's used correctly? Because like any tool, if you use the knife, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
But if I decide to go, that's bad.
So I appreciate your question. I think if you write your content and you put it through AI to do grammar check, all that kind of stuff, I think that's acceptable. But I think if you don't write the content, if you say, here's my idea, a ChatGPT 5, I think that's where we are now, generate the text, that's a problem.
It's a different.
Right.
Because a lot of those bots, if you put it in, it
They will copy it. Yeah.
Exactly.
You have to be very careful because their
And,
aggregates.
and I hear you're not saying that. I hear you're not saying that.
I did read, like one of the people I follow on YouTube said if you're going to use it, be reminded it is a tool. So
Yeah.
make sure that you tweak it, because I come to find out when you go to get your book published or whatever, they do check to see what is AI generated.
Yeah.
And if it comes back with too high a score, then they're not going to move forward.
Exactly. Hire editors. AI serves a purpose. It's a tool. We have to use it wisely. But let that which is artistic and human generated lead the way, or else they're going to try to make artists obsolete. And we don't want that. I don't want an AI generated painting. Not in a museum. Right? And we already know what we're dealing with in museums right now. Okay, cool. And I want to get back to Michelle's point. Ownership is an issue. Once you start putting stuff in the AI, they take ownership of it. And you think it's yours, but no, that company, Microsoft, Google, so you have to be vigilant. We have to be vigilant in protecting our rights.
With this being a writers' conference, do you think, tagging onto that last comment, do you think that people may not understand that writers are not just novelists?
We'll try to articulate that more and more. We've had very diverse panels over the years. We've had playwrights, we've had journalists. So we've shown people the landscape of writing. And it's about eliminating knowledge deficits. So if you have any interest in writing whatsoever, there's going to be information that you can glean through GLAAWC.
We're going to end on this note. It does feel like this is a prelude for another conversation. So we'll keep that in mind. And thank you guys for coming out and supporting. Please give another round for Dr. Leah Lewis. All right, I'm back. And I hope you enjoyed those nuggets shared by Dr. Leah Lewis. Dr. Leah kicked off the conversation on a vulnerable note, sharing her struggle with reading as a child. And with the help of one of her elders, she was able to triumph over her area of weakness. She was an early achiever and demonstrated that by being an avid puzzler and competitor. As she states in this interview, one of her strengths was being intellectually curious. Dr. Leah's competitive spirit was nurtured by being an athlete, which also taught her to be a team player. Additionally, she had the example of her family members' entrepreneurship that modeled an innovative mind. Another great nugget from this conversation was Dr. Leah's staunch affirmation with her belief in herself. We must be firm in our identity, purpose, and calling, and not allow others to sway us. Otherwise, we won't fulfill the reason for our existence. As Dr. Leah alludes to, only God can fully give us what we need. Another admirable trait in Dr. Leah's inspiration for starting GLAAWC was her compassion for a friend who was taken advantage of in the literary industry. Dr. Leah set out to create a solution to help others avoid that plight. I resonate with her vision in doing this, as it parallels my own with starting ND Miller Publishing. Well, that about wraps up our conversation with Dr. Leah, and I hope you were inspired in your own path of purpose. If you're in the Cleveland area, come through for GLAAWC 2025 on Saturday, September 27th from 10 to 5 p.m. at the Cleveland Public Library MLK branch. The information is in the show notes, along with the website for GLAAWC. And remember, I attract amazing women doing amazing things. So guess what, sis? That means you're amazing. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. To continue the conversation, join our Girl Talk community by following @GirlTalkCLE on Instagram and Facebook.com/HTOHB, where you can join the Girl Talk Facebook group. You can follow me personally on Instagram @HTOHB, on Facebook.com/HTOHB, and at YouTube.com/@HTOHB. Feel free to reach out via email info@ndmillerpublishing.com. If you're a writer who wants to take the next steps into becoming a published author, you can book a one-on-one consultation at ndmiller.pub. Just let me know you heard about my publishing house through Girl Talk, and I'll give you a 50% discount on our one-on-one. If you'd like weekly inspirational nuggets, you can subscribe to my blog and monthly newsletter at NicoleDmiller.com, where you can learn more about me and my writings. Till next time.